So now I'm going to switch to a little drawing and give you a little bit of an overview of LifeOS, which we'll then dive into across the next 3 weeks. I want to start off by illustrating a concept that if you've been with us in Productivity Lab for a while, you'll know about this, but if not, you won't, because I've never really talked about it on videos before. This is kind of how I think about productivity and life, and I think of this as the waters of life metaphor. Now, the way the waters of life metaphor works is that we're all collectively at sea, right? We're like, this is our little boat, and this is where we are right now, and this is like this big ocean that we happen to be living in. And over here we have our death. We are all slowly sailing towards our death. This was where we were born, and we've somehow ended up taking a circuitous life path to end up where we are right now. Now, one thing to emphasize with this is that we could have actually ended up in many places. We could even have not survived to be here. We could have, gotten to our death a lot quicker. But we somehow took all these different paths and we ended up here. There were lots of other paths which we could have taken. We could have taken that path that's gone over there, or a path that went over there, or a path that went like this, or a path that went like this, or a path that sort of crisscrossed and went like this. But ultimately, we were always marching forwards towards our death, and we're always going to end up in an interesting place. This is a diagram that I've adapted from a blog post that Tim Urban wrote. I can't, the name of it escapes me, but this is the sort of general idea. Now, we're here at this point in time, and there are infinite possibilities that are open to us. Like literally infinite possibilities, right? Like we can go and we can go that way, 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 you can literally go from here in dozens and dozens and dozens of different directions. And even as you go down one path, you might go down there, and then you might go down there, and 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 you might go down there. One thing to emphasize about this is that you're always moving forwards. There's that quote which is that a man can never step in the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and he is not the same man. A lot of us have this feeling sometimes that we're falling behind or like going backwards. But like with this model, you physically can't go backwards. We're always marching forwards, sailing forwards towards our death. And really the goal is that we want to be enjoying the journey as the journey is happening. And ideally, we want the destinations, the little islands that we visit along the way, ideally we want those to feel like meaningful destinations to us. For example, I'm having a kid in about 4 or 5 months, hopefully, inshallah. And so that little island that I'm going towards is the island of becoming a dad. In theory, if something bad doesn't happen along the way. That's an island that feels particularly meaningful to me right now. At that point, I might decide to have kid number 2, or kid number 3, or kid number 0, or like not have any more kids, or like decide to move country, or whatever the thing might be. And essentially, as we're navigating these waters of life, as we're navigating these waters of life, there's basically 3 things. And 2 of those are the things we're going to be talking about in LifeOS. The first one is vision. And what vision does is it sets our direction. Right, so let's imagine you're here right now, and one direction is straight there. One direction is that way. One direction is that way. One direction is that way. One direction is a great band. One direction is that way. One direction is that way. One direction is that way. It's like you could go in all of these different directions, and there are infinite different directions that are available to you. And it can sometimes feel paralyzing knowing what direction to actually take. That is where vision comes in, and that is the first component of our life operating system that we're going to be talking a lot about, i.e. what direction are you actually headed in? And then the second component is action. And I think of action as drive. So cool, once you've figured out what direction you're headed in, you have to actually take action to go there. Yes, you could just sort of drift along and let the current take you, but if you want to go towards an interesting destination or an interesting island or something that feels particularly meaningful to you, generally that doesn't happen, but you just, by us just sitting there and letting the waves move us however they will, generally that happens from us actively taking action. And so I think of action as being the 3 components that help move our boat forward in a direction that we care about. So that's vision and action. And the third component is joy/enjoyment. Ideally, while we are going towards a direction we care about and taking action consistently to get there, we are also enjoying the journey along the way, because if we're not enjoying the journey along the way, then what the hell is the point? And enjoying the journey along the way, actually, it's almost like the sail on your boat. It makes whatever you're doing so much easier. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, it will make every action seem really hard. You're going to be having to fight against all of these like headwinds. I think that's the word for it. Like the wind and the storms and everything like that. And it's going to take so much energy and so much discipline and so much willpower. All of the people who are struggling with discipline, we tend not to struggle with discipline for things that we enjoy, right? We only struggle with discipline for things that we really don't want to do, things that we really don't enjoy. And so part of the system and part of the thing that you can incorporate into your own life, part of what I've been able to incorporate into my life over the last like decade plus, is to focus on enjoying the journey. Because when you're enjoying the journey, you're not wasting all this energy like trying and battling and like white knuckling your way to try and achieve some outcome. You're like finding ways to enjoy the thing. And when we're not really going to talk about the enjoyment piece too much here, we are going to, because all the enjoyment stuff is in my book, but we're going to be focusing on vision and action as our 2 components.